Okay, sometimes for whatever reason, the HDR, photo merge in Lightroom or whatever HDR software you happen to be using that does it automatically, sometimes it just doesn't work quite right and you just want to do it the old-fashioned way. So in order to get one photo on top of another within Photoshop, it's pretty simple. You just have to, do it more than once before you get the hang of it. So let me show you just a couple of different ways to do this. So we have to get, what I'm trying to do right here is I'm trying to get this foreground, which has a little bit of detail, with this sky, which I think is just a nicer looking sky and a little bit richer. So first I'm going to go Command or Control A to select all, or you can come up to the drop down and just say select all. It'll show you the shortcut for your system. And then just say Edit Copy, or just Command or Control C. And I'm going to click on this image and go Edit Paste, Command or Control V. And what that does is it puts it on its own layer. So I've got layer 1, which is the brighter one, on top of the darker one. So in order to poke a hole through that layer and reveal the layer beneath it, I have to add a layer mask, which is just down here. Click on that little button, and then I'm going to select my brush tool. And right now I've got white on top and I want to have black on top. So I'm going to click this little side by side, or I just type the X key. And I do that all the time. I type the X key. So let me right click on my brush, make sure I have a nice soft brush, but I want to show you really quickly what happens if you use a hard edged brush. So if I use a hard edged brush, this is the type of result that I get, and you could spend an eternity in here trying to perfect that, but I am going to save you the effort and just say, hey, let's just use a very, very large, very soft brush. And I'm even going to lower the opacity of that brush just by typing the number 8 on the top of my keyboard, not the keyboard off or the number pad off to the side, but on the top of your keyboard. And I'm going to take a big brush and I'm just going to go and you don't have to do the do if you don't want to. Anyway. So that's it. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? So if you want a nice soft transition, just use a huge, like way more than you think you need to be, oversized brush and just do a single stroke across. I never lifted my finger off of the mouse pad or the trackpad that I'm using right now. If I did and I hit it again, I am doing kind of a cumulative effect because I selected an opacity lower than 100. If I had just had 100, it would have done this 100% all the way out of the gate. So let me go backtrack here and just type the number 0 for 100 and a big brush, and that does 100%. So we don't always need all of that. I think that sky is still a little bit dark. So let me back up and we'll do the 80% again. And there we go. It's much more evenly balanced, that exposure. It just looks a little bit better. So now I've got a little bit more detail in my foreground and in my sky. And if I wanted to bring back a little bit more of this rich color in the sky, but maybe not these clouds. These clouds got really dark, so I could darken this just a little bit more by hitting that with the brush again. If I make a mistake, I just hit the X key and paint again, and I'm just reversing what I just did. I'm painting with white. So now I've got a weird stripe going on. I don't need that. But that's method number 1 for getting one image on top of the other. Let me delete that. And method number 2, which is the one that I use more frequently, is I just use the Move tool, which is up here. I type the letter V as in Victor, and I click drag my mouse. This is very, very important. Highlight the other photo. I have not taken my finger off the mouse yet until I get that cursor back over this photo and then let go. If I let go out here somewhere, it'll just go off into cyber la la land and you won't see it again. You have to do it all over again. So line those up again, add a layer mask, big brush, 80%, paint with black on top, and there we go. So let's try a slightly different method. There's so many different ways to do the same thing in Photoshop, right? So we'll do select sky. Okay, so it's selected the sky, but I actually want to keep this sky. I want to replace the foreground. So I'm going to say select inverse. There we go. And I'm going to come over here and say edit. Oops, I got to do select all first, right? So Command A, Command C over here and edit, paste special and paste into, and that'll stick that foreground right in there. Awesome. So if I hold down the Alt or Option key and click on that mask, this is the mask that it created. So you can see here, it's really good, shockingly good. So there's a little bit of a halo right here, and I can just take my brush and fix that with one little stroke there. Maybe come in here with maybe a 30 or 40% brush and just kind of fix these little halos that popped up. It did a really good job, but not perfect. So I'm gonna go fix that in. So there you go, 3 different ways to accomplish the same task, manually putting one photo on top of another. This method of stacking one image on another can be done with bits and pieces of photos, with objects in a photo, with a person in a photo. So have fun practicing that. Again, it will take a little bit of time to get used to it, but you'll be a pro in no time.